The rain had been falling all day in New York City, and with it came the kind of cold that seeps into your bones. People hurried along the sidewalks, clutching umbrellas and wrapping scarves tightly around their necks. But one man sat still on the corner of 47th Street, drenched, his back pressed against the side of a closed diner. His name was Daniel Harper, though to most who passed by, he was invisible, just another homeless man in a city where people had grown accustomed to ignoring outstretched hands. Daniel hadn't always been this way. 2 years earlier, he'd had a job as a delivery driver, a small apartment, and a dream of opening his own auto repair shop. But life unraveled quickly. His mother's medical bills piled up after she was diagnosed with cancer, and when she passed away, Daniel sank into depression. He lost his job, then his apartment, and within months, the city streets became his only home. On this particular evening, soaked to the skin, Daniel watched the streams of people rush past him without a glance. His stomach growled with hunger, but what stung more than the hunger was the loneliness. It had been weeks since anyone had even spoken to him. Just as he lowered his head in defeat, a voice cut through the storm. "Hey, you okay, man?" Daniel looked up to see a young man, maybe in his late 20s, standing over him. The stranger wore a simple hoodie and jeans, and unlike everyone else, he wasn't rushing. He was actually looking at Daniel, really looking. Daniel cleared his throat. "I'm fine," he lied, his pride forcing the words out. The young man shook his head. "You don't look fine. Hold on." Before Daniel could respond, the stranger ducked into the diner behind him. Moments later, he re-emerged with a paper bag and a large coffee cup. He handed them to Daniel. The smell of warm fries and a burger hit him instantly, and the heat from the coffee thawed his freezing hands. Daniel blinked in disbelief. "You bought this for me?" "Yeah," the young man said with a smile. "Everyone deserves a warm meal. My name's Ethan, by the way." Daniel wanted to say thank you, but the lump in his throat was too thick. He hadn't expected kindness, not anymore. For the first time in months, Daniel felt like a human being again. They sat together under the diner's awning as Daniel ate. Ethan didn't ask intrusive questions, didn't pity him, he just listened when Daniel began to talk. He listened as Daniel shared pieces of his story, his mother, his lost job, his dreams of being a mechanic. When Daniel finished, Ethan nodded thoughtfully. "You know," he said, "my dad owns a small auto shop in Brooklyn. We're looking for an extra pair of hands. You know your way around cars, right?" Daniel froze. Was this a cruel joke? Opportunities like that didn't fall into his lap anymore. But Ethan's expression was genuine. "Come by tomorrow," Ethan continued. "Even if it's just to sweep floors or change oil. It's a start." Daniel couldn't speak. He just nodded, his eyes filling with tears he fought to hide. That night, Daniel slept under a bridge, but for the first time in years, he dreamed, not of the past, but of a possible future. The next morning, despite every doubt in his head telling him it was too good to be true, he made his way to Brooklyn. When he pushed open the garage door of Harper & Sons Auto Repair, Ethan was already there, grinning. "Glad you came," Ethan said. "Grab some gloves. Let's get to work." The first few days were tough. Daniel's body wasn't used to long hours anymore, and his confidence was shaky. But Ethan's father, Mr. Collins, saw the spark in him. Daniel wasn't just sweeping floors, he knew engines, transmissions, the heartbeat of every car that rolled into the shop. Slowly, he became more than just an extra hand. Weeks turned into months. Daniel earned his first steady paycheck in years. He rented a small room above a laundromat. He bought new clothes, cut his hair, and began to look like the man he used to be, no, better than the man he used to be. But what struck him most wasn't the work or the money, it was the kindness Ethan had shown him that night. A burger, a cup of coffee, and a moment of compassion had been the spark that reignited his entire life. 1 year later, on a crisp autumn morning, Daniel walked into the shop carrying a box of donuts for the crew. Business was booming, and he had become the lead mechanic. Ethan slapped him on the back. "You've come a long way, man. Proud of you." Daniel smiled. "Couldn't have done it without you." But fate, in its mysterious way, had more to teach Daniel about kindness and karma. That afternoon, as Daniel was closing up the shop, he noticed a woman struggling at the corner. Her car was stalled in the middle of the road, traffic honking behind her. Daniel jogged over, pushed the car to the curb, and asked if she was okay. She was shaken, tears brimming in her eyes. "I just lost my job today," she whispered. "And now this. I don't know what I'm going to do." Her words hit Daniel like a mirror to his past. Without hesitation, he fixed her car free of charge. When she tried to protest, he shook his head. "Someone once helped me when I was at my lowest," he said gently. "Now it's my turn." The woman looked at him, stunned. "Thank you. I'll never forget this." Months later, Daniel was surprised when the same woman returned to the shop, this time, not with car trouble, but with an offer. She had found work as a manager at a nearby logistics company, and they were in need of a fleet mechanic. The position was stable, paid more, and came with benefits. Daniel accepted, grateful beyond words. Life blossomed in ways he could never have imagined. Within 2 years, he saved enough to finally open his own small garage, Harper Auto Care, named in memory of his mother. He even rehired men who had fallen on hard times, giving them the same chance Ethan once gave him. One rainy night, nearly 3 years after his life had turned around, Daniel was locking up his shop when he saw a man huddled under a bus stop, soaked, shivering, and clearly homeless. Daniel's chest tightened. He walked over, holding out his umbrella. "Hey, you okay, man?" he asked. The man looked up, startled. And in that instant, Daniel realized the cycle had come full circle. He wasn't just helping someone else, he was honoring the moment that had saved him. The emotional climax. Standing there in the rain, Daniel finally understood the profound truth: one act of kindness doesn't just change one life, it creates ripples that can transform countless others. Ethan's compassion had saved him. His own kindness had helped the stranded woman. Now, he had the chance to continue the chain, ensuring the circle of compassion never ended. He guided the homeless man to a nearby diner, bought him a meal, and listened to his story, just as Ethan had once done for him. And as he placed a few bills on the table and wrote down the address of his shop, Daniel's voice cracked with emotion. "Everyone deserves a second chance," he said. "I know, because someone gave me mine." Conclusion. Years later, when Harper Auto Care became one of the most trusted shops in the city, Daniel hung a framed photo behind the counter, a picture of Ethan, taken the day they first met. Beneath it, in bold letters, were the words, "Kindness is the spark that lights 1,000 fires." And whenever customers asked about it, Daniel would smile and tell them his story, not to boast, but to remind them of a simple truth. We never know what someone is going through. We never know how much power a single act of compassion carries. But sometimes, a burger, a cup of coffee, and a moment of humanity are enough to change a life forever. Because kindness is never wasted. It always comes back, often in ways we least expect, but exactly when we need it most.